Hello and welcome. You watching This Is Exclusive with me, Shavan Sen. Tonight on this edition of This Is Exclusive, we put the spotlight on three major stories, starting with the fact that Chinese were essentially behind those fake images that you saw during Operation Sindoor. We'll get you all the latest details. The other big story that we've been tracking, the only network to expose Ajit Pawar's son Parth Pawar, raising questions as to why he does not figure in the FIR that has been named. And finally, a story that has been brushed under the carpet by every possible network in the country. This is about a Pakistani drug lord resurfacing. All this and much more on this edition of This Is Exclusive. But up first, let me take you to the headlines we're tracking at this hour. On the run since 2022, wanted gangster Anmol Bishnoi dragged back to India, remanded to 11-day NIA custody. US report exposes China's disinformation campaign after Operation Sindoor. China used fake AI images to hinder the sale of French Rafale aircraft. Ajit Pawar's son Parth Pawar not named in the 300 crore rupees Pune land deal report submitted to Maharashtra government. Notorious Pakistani drug lord Haji Salim resurfaces in a case related to 2021 narco consignment seizure. Only on Republic TV we get you the latest details of what really happened in the Kerala High Court. Ladies and gentlemen, during Operation Sindoor, you may have essentially seen several images doing the rounds, particularly in social media platforms, none of them essentially verified, and most of it claiming that Rafale jets were downed. And the fact that it is the Chinese jets that have essentially given the face saver for the Pakistanis. Now, that was a lie that we have been saying all this while, but now it is also officially confirmed. Now, this is a report that has been submitted before the United States Review Committee. US-China Economic and Security Review Commission has accused China of orchestrating a propaganda effort after Operation Sindoor as per its grey zone attempts to use fake social media accounts that spread AI images of supposed debris from planes. The report lays the facts bare that Beijing opportunistically used the May clash between India and Pakistan to advertise the advanced technology of its weapons, useful in the context of its ongoing border tensions with India and its growing defense industry goals. On your screens right now, we're going to put out full details of this report and the chair, what is it that they've essentially wanted to say. On your screens, this is exactly what the review committee on China had to say with regards to China's disinformation campaign. In fact, they are quoting French intelligence to indicate the fact that there was a campaign that was started by the Chinese to basically ensure that Rafale's rates stocks really go down. And the fact that they are able to convince potential buyers about Chinese aircraft. Let me also now take you through some more details coming in, some more breaking news coming in on this entire story that is first broken by Republic TV. This is about Pakistan's use of Chinese weapons to down French Rafale fighter jets used by India. Now became a particular selling point for the Chinese embassy defense sale efforts. On your screens right now, this is exactly what the Chinese had to indicate. The Chinese embassy banked on Pakistan using their own weapons. Over the next couple of minutes, I'm also going to take you through instances where during Operation Sindoor, efforts were essentially made to lie on several aspects. Before I go across through all the elements that we have basically lined up for you to understand what exactly happened during Operation Sindoor, breaking this down is Group Captain Anant Mathur, a veteran Indian Air Force pilot who's joining us on this broadcast. Group Captain Mathur, it's now official. citing French intelligence, you have had the review committee indicating the fact that there was a disinformation campaign that was started by the Chinese. We all knew here in India, but there were few people who still questioned it. How do you really look at this report which has now been made public?
Hi, good evening. So firstly, I want to tell you that this aspect is an important aspect of any statecraft which involves information warfare. And it is important for India to stay united against this kind of information warfare. Fault lines in India will be exploited by our adversaries, and China is one of them. And while this report pinpoints China, they were not the only people who were doing this information warfare against us. And we actually won on the physical battlefield, whose scars are visible till today at airfields and hangars in Pakistan. But to a certain extent, we did lose the information war in certain areas, which is a lesson for us. We need to act much faster and quicker with more vigor all across the world. As far as Chinese are concerned, they were able to use this data. And if you remember, even the stock prices of Dassault fell down after this news broke through, which had no basis in reality. And it only took a few days for it to recover to the original stock value, because as the information warfare wound down, the reality came into play, and we were really able to showcase that while we had pictures of hangars with aircraft being destroyed by India, the hits on the airfields, the hits at Kirana Hills, they had nothing to show.
Group Captain Mathur, there is a pattern that we have essentially seen post Operation Sindoor. Now, I'm going to, take all of the disinformation campaign that was started by the Chinese. On your screens right now, Group Captain Mathur, I'm not too sure whether you can see this, but I just want to show this to all our viewers as to how exactly it all started. What is it that the Chinese were essentially doing? And now that the French intelligence have also been quoted by United States of America about how this was a selling point. They are calling this a selling point for the Chinese embassy, so that they could actually go and talk about their aircraft, the fighter aircraft, and the fact that they were able, supposedly, they were able to carry out precision strikes. Now, the fact of the matter is that not a single military installation took a hit in India. On your screens right now, starting from 7th of May, where the claim that was first made was Pakistan had shot down Rafale. It was an old unrelated crash photograph that was used. Then they also claimed that the Pakistani Air Force had bombed Srinagar Air Base. That was a 2024 video from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa that was used. Yet another claim that was made that another Indian jet was downed. This, in fact, was a MiG-29 aircraft crash picture that was used by the Pakistanis. Another claim that was made on May 7th itself, where they claimed that Indian jet was shot down near Bahawalpur, and in fact it turns out that it was a Mirage 2000 training crash that took place in February 2025. And then you have on 7th of May itself, where they claimed that Pakistanis had destroyed Indian brigade headquarters, completely fabricated. Group Captain Mathur, while I take our viewers through this entire pattern, I want you to help us understand why was it the need of the hour for the Pakistanis and Chinese? Why is it that the JF-35 was something that the Chinese couldn't have sold? Their missiles, if you really look at the PL-15 missiles, that too turned out to be a complete Chinese dud missiles. I want to go back with the graphics also while you try and help us understand that.
See, we have seen actually so many photographs which India has shown where PL-15 just ran out of fuel or just fell down in India, few of them completely intact. Has Pakistan been able to show any of the Meteor launches which were found intact on their side? Because all those hit their aircraft, but none of them hit our aircraft, and they were found lying in the fields, where even the fuse which is supposed to make the missile self-destruct did not work. Because when the missile reaches its end of the range and it does not find a target, then it is supposed to self-destruct to avoid this kind of a thing. And a few days later, of course, Indian DRDO picked up that missile and wanted to see what exactly is the capability which they can gauge, and it has been used to find these information out. This disinformation campaign is part of information warfare when hostilities break out, and is part of information warfare even when hostilities are not happening. Even today, you find that there are several bots and misinformation campaigns run across the world by adversaries. This is part of geopolitics. What we need to learn as a nation is not get taken in by this and don't start asking questions where none exist. And there is only one factor which we must consider, which is the government information which comes out, information which is given by the armed forces, information which is given by the government of India, because that is the absolute truth. And that is what needs to be believed.
Group Captain Mathur, I just want to take a quick question because I'm running out of time, but it's important because the timing when they were basically trying to sell this was also at a time when Chinese were trying to sell this to other countries. Is there anything that you can tell our viewers why it became imperative for the Chinese to try and ensure that Rafale was out of the market?
Indonesia has finally agreed to buy Rafale. So there are several countries which are evaluating aircraft. Indonesia comes to my mind immediately because that is a country which has now agreed to buy the Rafale. Chinese are trying to dissuade other countries to buy a Rafale by trying to showcase that Rafale does not work. And so the campaign was not really effective in that sense because ultimately Indonesia has agreed to buy the Rafale. However, this is the misinformation campaign, the aim of which is to sell Chinese equipment, apply disinformation so that Rafales need not be bought, because you don't only buy the aircraft, you buy the weapon systems that come along with it, you buy a multi-year contract for maintenance and servicing. And the aim was that those countries don't buy the Rafale but end up buying the Chinese J-35, which is still unproven, has not seen combat. The J-20 is, of course, a much inferior machine which the Pakistanis have. And they are threatening that they will make, they will sell these J-35s to Pakistan. Well, good luck to them.
Thank you very much, Group Captain Mathur, for putting this into perspective. A story that has now been picked up by others. And in fact, we give it to understand that the French embassy has also responded to the report that has just been published. Shifting focus now to the other big story that we are getting to, a Republic investigation as far as the land scam is concerned in Maharashtra. Ladies and gentlemen, the 300 crore Mundwa land scam that our Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar's family, the crosshairs, has unearthed fresh details. His son, Parth, has walked free. Unnamed, unscathed, but three key players, a suspended sub-registrar, a business insider, and a power broker, face the full wrath of the law for greenlighting this ineligible government land grab as probe collides and the Chief Minister's committee gears up. Is this exoneration a clean slate or just the opening move in a bigger cover-up? Take a look at this report.
A three-member committee headed by Joint IGR Rajendra Muthe has submitted its report in the 300 crore rupees Mundwa land deal case. The land, 43 acres in Pune's upscale Mundwa area, is government-owned and could not legally be sold. Yet it was sold to Amidia Enterprises, a firm in which Parth Pawar, son of Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar, is a partner. The report spoke of irregularities in a plot valued at over 1800 crore rupees, sold for just 300 crores to Amidia Enterprises. The state later scrapped the deal, calling the violations serious and deliberate.
It is very surprising and shocking that the Inspector General of Police of Maharashtra formed 3 members committee to look into the involvement of this 300 crores rupees scam. When the ownership is belonging to Parth Pawar, 90%, The whole deal has taken place on behalf of his company, and there is lot of other say or lot of documents are there to show that they cannot bifurcate or separate Mr. Parth Pawar individually and the company separately.
But investigators say Parth's name does not appear on any document linked to the sale. As a result, the committee report makes no reference to Parth Pawar. Instead, the committee has indicted 3 people named in the FIR. Suspended Sub-Registrar Ravindra, Digvijay Patil, who is Parth Pawar's business partner, and Sheetal Tejwani, who held the power of attorney on behalf of the land sellers.
This committee has held accountable 3 personals only, those name mentioned in sale deed. Now the question is, if someone is beneficiary from that land deal, why his or her name not mentioned in the report? Because we know that company which is involved in this Pune land scheme is Amedia Enterprise and is co-owned by Ajit Pawar's son Parth Pawar. And all details, all papers are there only, and till date, the Parth Pawar is the co-owner of that company. Parth Pawar was beneficiared by these deals. Why his name not came in this report? That's why this report is raising questions.
Sub-Registrar Taru is accused of using a skip option in the registration system, bypassing mandatory checks and government land. The probe also found shocking financial gaps.
The Maharashtra government has very tactfully tried to save its alliance partner, that is the Ajit Pawar faction of the NCP, to ensure that Ajit Pawar's son is not implicated in this matter. It is a clear, open and shut case where Parth Ajit Pawar's company, Amedia LLP, has not once but twice made application for waiver of stamp duty. First, it was the adjudication which was filed before the competent authority, and that authority had ruled that they had to pay a certain amount of stamp duty. And there, in that document, which I can share with Republic Channel, it clearly shows that it was Amedia Enterprises LLP which has actually filed or made that application for adjudication.
But records show Parth Pawar signed the LLP resolution, he signed the stamp duty waiver proposals worth crores, and his signature appears on internal registration approvals. These raise the question, if he signed key documents linked to the transaction, why is he not named in the findings? Officials maintain the committee's mandate was narrow, limited to procedural lapses, not criminal liability. But critics argue that if Parth signed resolutions, approvals and waiver requests, his role cannot be dismissed. A separate high-powered committee, headed by the Additional Chief Secretary, is now examining whether these signatures and approvals amount to greater responsibility. Meanwhile, Amedia Enterprises has been issued a notice to pay 42 crore in stamp duty after the deal was cancelled. The company has 7 days to respond. And as documents repeatedly show Parth Pawar's signatures on key approvals, the central question remains, if it was his company and his paperwork, how was he not named in the probe report?
The man who started all of this, the entire investigation, Vijay Kumbar, the whistleblower in the case, is joining us. Mr. Kumbar, thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. Maharashtra government indicating that this is not the final report. This is only to do with the stamp evasion, and the fact of the matter is that it is going to be the additional chief secretary that is going to look into this entire matter. So why are we jumping the gun, is what they are saying.
No, we are not jumping the gun because this would, ये सब कुछ जो होना था ना वो सबसे पहले होना चाहिए था. इसके लिए जो सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स है वो गवर्नमेंट के पास है. इसके बावजूद जो डिले किया जा रहा है, डिले हो रहा है, वो उस पर लोगों का शक है, क्योंकि इसमें कोई भी रॉकेट साइंस नहीं था कि इसके इमीडिएटली कुछ नहीं कर सकते थे. एक बात जाहिर है इसमें कि उन्होंने एक लिखा है इसमें कि ये जो दस्त किया है, ये डॉक्यूमेंट किया है, वो अमेडिया एंटरप्राइजेस ने किया है. इसमें 99% पवार पार्टनर है. उन्होंने जो बाकी चीजें लिखी है इसमें तो एफआईआर इमीडिएटली होना चाहिए। अमेडी इंटरप्राइजेस एलएलपी एंड पार्टनर दिग्विजय पाटिल, इनके बारे में जो एलिगेशंस है, नोइंगली अटेम्प्टेड टू परचेज गवर्नमेंट लैंड, बहुत बड़ा आरोप है। फ्रॉडुलेंटली सॉट स्टैम्प ड्यूटी एग्जेम्पशन, मैनिपुलेटेड डॉक्यूमेंट सबमिटेड फॉर स्टैम्प ड्यूटी इंक्वायरी, evasion of stamp duty investigation, attempted to register deed through false representation। क्या एक छोटे आरोप है? क्या इसमें किसी को छोड़ा जा सकता है? बाद में इन्वेस्टिगेशन करेंगे, बाद में ये करेंगे, तो ये सब कुछ है, ये पहले ही होना चाहिए था, इसलिए लोग ये कर रहे हैं और इसमें इसलिए डिले हो रहा है, इसमें इसलिए बार बार रोका जा रहा है कि इसमें अजित पवार जी का लड़का है। अगर कोई और होता तो क्या इतनी देर लगती?
विजय जी,
ये जो आरोप है, ये अगर किसी आम आदमी पर होते तो उसका क्या होता?
विजय जी, इसको लेकर वापस हम लोग चर्चा भी करेंगे। हमारे एडिटर इन चीफ अर्नब गोस्वामी आज इस पर डिबेट भी कर रहे हैं। मैं चाहूंगा कि आप उस वक्त जुड़े। आपने एक सवाल भी उठाया है, a question that is being raised about the role of Parth Pawar itself, the very fact that he was part of multiple meetings and he happens to be the full director of this very company. That's all that we have time as far as this story goes. I want to quickly take you through another big story that has been completely brushed under the carpet. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a case that dates back to 2021. A Pakistani terror drug lord was smashed in the head of the night by the Indian Coast Guard. 300 kilos of pure heroin, AK-56 rifles fresh from Pakistan Ordnance Factory, and a direct line to Dawood Ibrahim's D Company and the ISI. The mastermind was global terrorist Haji Salim. In fact, operating from Dubai, hand-holding Sri Lankan boats to flood our shores. The NIA, in fact, earlier today, has actually told the Kerala High Court, they have dropped the bombshell in Kerala High Court, saying that this was no ordinary smuggling run. It was a calculated strike on India's security. In fact, the matter actually came up before the Kerala High Court. I want to quickly take you through all the images that have now been accessed and who exactly is this person. We'll try and see if we can get a quick word from my colleague Shankar, who's going to join us from Tripura. But first, take a look at this report.
In a daring midnight operation, the Indian Coast Guard intercepted and disabled a Sri Lankan fishing boat, Ravi Hansi, 370 nautical miles off Minikoi Island in 2021. 6 Sri Lankan crew members were arrested on the spot, and later 7 more Sri Lankan refugees were rounded up in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. The National Investigation Agency's latest revelations before the Kerala High Court has stunned everyone. The kingpin behind this arms drug consignment is none other than Pakistani terrorist and drug lord Haji Salim, a close associate of ISI and Dawood Ibrahim's D Company, wanted by Interpol and several global agencies. Call data records show the accused were in direct contact with Haji Salim, a UAE national and an Indian handler. The plan was to smuggle the deadly cargo through Lakshadweep to destabilize India. The operation in itself was a textbook example of real-time intelligence fusion. Technical intelligence inputs between March 15th and 17th merged with live surveillance by Coast Guard dorniers and ships led to pinpoint interception of the drifting Ravi Hansi. As investigations continue, the Kerala High Court is set to deliver its final order on the bail.
Well, that's all that we could pack in this edition of This is Exclusive. Coming up, trending with my colleague Ayun.